So, should we buy or sell Nautilus? First off, read this disclaimer carefully and do your good deed of today by liking and subscribing. So we have a theme here under the Megatrend called fitness. So, 67-ish% here from the 52-week low, which is, significantly beating the market, but we have seen some corrections. So here are the stocks. Peloton got hit really hard on Friday. We will look at Nautilus. They are an athletics retailer. So we do have a 16-ish% move from the 52-week low, but a whopping minus 67% away from the highs. That obviously is pretty significant. So here you can see some of their machines. Yeah, I mean these are great if you want to exercise. Great stuff. And let's just jump right into the charts. So we were in the process of forming like the mother of all inverse head and shoulders patterns. So this was pretty substantial. It didn't play itself out, unfortunately. We did have a pretty substantial correction. You could argue that we have some kind of time cycles as well, but they have differed a bit over time. But this is certainly one of those, buy low, sell high stocks. When we zoom in a bit here, on the topic of inverse head and shoulders patterns, we could argue this is a left shoulder, this is a big head. Then there's a big debate, is this the right shoulder or is this a deeper right shoulder? There's different interpretations, but some of the same logic applies. We are seeing a bit of a turnaround here. We are below the red 200-week moving average. That is a bit unfortunate. Going here so here are the daily data points. So we are below many very key moving averages. However, we do see that we found support here at the purple 20-day moving average, which has been rather important as a resistance level for quite some time. So it is a big deal that we have been able to use it as support. This is definitively not like a roaringly bullish setup. But the problem is that if you wait until all the stars are aligned and you have a bunch of confirmation, then you're going to miss the move. You could argue that there's something a bit rounding bottomish about this recent development as well. There certainly seems to be a change around here. This is where you go from bears completely dominating to now the bulls are fighting back. So I think this is speculatively interesting from a more bullish perspective, technically. When we go here, weekly data points and look at these indicators, we have accumulation distribution is still very weak. RSI is, however, bouncing from a level that has triggered some pretty good buying in the past. Like back here, this kind of RSI formed like a temporary low, and then we did have a bit of a bounce. If we go further back as well, like here, that was actually a bit higher RSI than now. So basically, if you look, way back, the tendency is for this stock to have significantly higher RSI and also to be higher on a bunch of other, indicators like the PPOs. Meaning, there's a tendency to have a reversion to the upside when we have these kinds of readings. Going here to the daily data points, then we do see here on the accumulation. It is certainly not strong, but it could also be worse. So I think that's kind of the thing here. You could say that there's something a bit bullish here happening with the MACD. So yeah, let's go here and look at correlations. So we do have long-term 57% with the S&P 500. With the health and wellness ETF, we have a 60% positive. Then we have a 20% positive with Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness, it's in the same industry, but a very different kind of. So you could argue that there's some competition between Nautilus and Planet Fitness, even though they do address a similar kind of audience. Well, customer. and there's a minus 84% negative correlation with the dollar index. So a pretty strong negative correlation with the dollar index. And also short term here with the daily data points, we do have an 83% negative correlation. So something with the dollar here that's interesting. Then we have a minus 9% negative with Planet Fitness, so very weak. Yeah, minus 31% with Health and Wellness ETF. And then minus 75% negative here with the S&P 500. When we go to the seasonality, yeah, we do see that October and November, there are some of the stronger months. But then over the last 10 years, then November tends to be a bit 50-50, but December and January are some of the strongest months, especially when you look at the average gain for January. It is around 18%, so that's strong. So the seasonality is very good around the corner. So over the last 20 years, we do tend to see a strengthening into December. And then the big move tends to come in January. The logic here most likely is that, people, they eat a lot of food during Christmas, and then they become fat, and then they want to exercise. So the seasonality around the corner is really interesting. Here we do see some trend lines. Yeah, but let's go over here. So we go here to consensus, like that. So you do see that, the consensus is pretty good here. We do have a buy. The price target of the analyst vis-a-vis the current stock price, it's 84% above. The highest price target is 161% above the current stock price, and the lowest price target is 21%. So the analysts are definitively here in a more bullish direction. Here we have some, ratings. So you can stop the video and see yourself. Yeah. When we go here to SACS, they have a number for sell, but we do have a C value, D growth, D momentum. Industry rank, it's retail, mail order, and bottom 16%. $322 million in market cap and no dividend. So to sum up my take here for Nautilus, technically speaking, we are at a very low level, very depressed stock price. In a context where you do have very strong seasonality, especially for January, and December also tends to be decent. So there's a tendency that November can be a good month to buy Nautilus. The fundamentals also are promising. So I think that you're taking all the evidence together, there's more reasons to be bullish on Nautilus than to be bearish at this point.